Hi guys, today's lesson is about training principles in terms of exercise physiology. So today we're just going to brief over what the training principles are, and in class we'll talk about how they might be applied. But basically, when you're doing up a training program, there are lots of things to consider, like the level of fitness of the athlete, what phase of competition you're in, whether it's pre-season or you're in competition phase or wherever you're at. As long as what you would include in a training program. So training principles governs some of those things. So when you are doing up a training program, you need to consider the following. So you need to consider individuality. So it's no good making a training program for everybody because it's not going to suit everybody. So if you consider that in terms of our current water polo program, that would give you something to write about because we're all doing the same program, but we're all different levels of fitness. So individuality is key. Specificity, it's really important to write a training program specific to the sport that you're doing. So if you are a sprinter on the track, there's no point in sending that person for a 10k run. It's just not specific to what they need to be doing. So specific movements, specific skills in terms of that sport. If it's a sport that involves ball play, then at some point in the training you definitely need to be doing ball skills. Progressive overload, really important. If you go from 0 to 100 in your first session, that's crazy. In your first session, you need to be gradually increasing considering you've had umpteen amount of rest. So if you're coming off 4 months of complete rest, your first session needs to be fairly easy, and then you need to gradually make that session harder. That's called progressive overload. Frequency is really important when considering training programs. Are you going to train 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week? Some people train 14 times a week. But frequency is key. And how frequently are you doing different types of training? You might be doing a strength session, agility session, you might be doing an endurance session. Whatever you're doing, what frequency are you doing it at? And that determines the recovery you have between sessions, which is also very, very important. Recovery is nearly as important as the session that you do. The intensity that you do it at, again, if you're a track sprinter and you're constantly doing 50 metre reps or 60 metre reps at 50% pace, that's not going to be of benefit to you. So intensity is very important. Duration. How long is the session going to go for? How long are the sets and reps going to go for? How long is the recovery? All of those things are important for duration. How long is that phase of training? How long is your in-season phase? How long is your competition phase? Detraining is really important because we lose our gains very quickly. So you can lose up to 50% of your training gains within 1 week of not training. So that's what detraining is. If you stop, what you actually lose. Measurable progress is really important. Are you tracking your progress? If something starts to go awry, you need to be able to measure that and make adjustments. If you're not measuring it, you can't work out how effective the training program is until it's too late. Diminishing returns. So basically that means once you start a program from nothing, having rest or whatever, the returns that you'll get immediately are quite significant, generally speaking. So the improvements that you'll see from your training will be fairly significant, and then if you continue to do the same training over and over, the improvements that you'll see will get smaller and smaller to the point where you'll plateau out, you'll have no improvements, which is why it's important down here to have variety, and also important for progressive overload. But variety is important for a number of reasons. To make it exciting, so mental stimulation is one of those reasons. Also for decreased risk of injury. If you're constantly working one particular muscle group, you're at an increased likelihood of injury. So all of those things are important in working out a training program that's going to target a performance goal that you may have. So these training principles, they govern the choice of training method that you use, and we'll go through training methods in another video. The content of each session, so what you do in each session, are governed by those training principles. The rate of improvement, again, if you don't change anything, your rate of improvement will slowly decrease. Your level of motivation, if you're doing the same thing over and over, your motivation is going to decrease. and your overall effectiveness of your program. So that's training principles in a nutshell. Go away, find out some more information, and make sure you've taken notes from the video. Cheers.